What is up, crawler fans, RC enthusiasts, and social media surfers? I'm your boy Josh with Texoma RC. And today we're looking at Maximus and Crevice, and we have the spring mod, and we're also going to be taking a look at how we set up those 43mm shocks in Crevice and how we keep them just working so good, smooth every time. All right, so the way that I have these shocks mounted, I used two of the O-rings that come with the shocks and the links and whatever. It's what I had available because I had a bunch of them left over. But I also used the longer screw that comes in the car set. There's three different sets of lengths of screw, and it's the longest screw to get the shock body away from the chassis. All right, there you go. That's better. To get it away from the chassis, right here. Also, it helps the spring to be straight up and down. Also, this screw is not tight. I did the same thing as I've described in past videos. I ran the screw down tight until, or not tight, but I ran the screw down until all of the slack was gone. And then I tried up and down until it worked smoothly. If it didn't work, I would back the screw off 1/8 of a turn, try it again. If it did not work, I would back the screw off 1/8 of a turn and try it again. It didn't take many turns with the two spacers, just a couple turns, just a little bit loose, and it functions very well. The spring mod, how do you do it? You take one of these little loops down here. This is the spring seat. This is the last ring on the freaking spring. You pull it down below. Captured. Now, see, we've captured the spring seat in the spring. I just picked this shock up to show you. You would do the same thing on your spring collar up here with your adjustable aluminum springs. You would do the same thing up there. We'll show you right here on Crevice. See right here? I have 1, 2, 3 plus the start. So basically 4, that's how I count them. 4 rings above the collar, and in doing that I've shortened my spring, which is sucking the bottom up higher. It only goes to a certain point, and once it goes past that, now the spring is being stretched out, so it wants to pull up. So if you see, like on the 10 scale cars, guys are running on the LCG rigs, they run rubber bands to help pull the suspension up. So that's why I did this. You can just capture the top and capture the bottom. Now you can set your ride height still. Combination of how many springs and your spring collar, where it is, that's going to set your ride height. But you can also set your sag where you are in your suspension travel. You can set that now. You can also set your dropout tension. So again, how much tension you have on your springs to drop out. I have Crevice set up to be really loose. Again, because I have the ride height adjuster that's going to suck it up in itself through the servo. So I have the suspension set really loose. But you could continue to pull up maybe 3 or 4 more rings, and then you would actually have tension on the bottom seat collar, or the spring seat, my bad. So you would actually have tension pulling up into the car on your spring seat, and therefore you would have a very low ride height, and you would have tension on your flexing. So something to think about. Again, you'll see it on the 10 scale cars, but they're using rubber bands. This allows you to do 3 things in one. Again, ride height, your droop, like so your sag, so where your car sits in its sag. Crevice sits at about 95% droop. He's gonna sour sag. He sags all the way down, but then the suspension comes out 95%. So I could set that anywhere or anywhere within the travel that I want to. That's just where I have crevice set at. So you could do the same thing and keep it set there, but also by pulling the springs up over the collar, and then moving the spring collar down here, you could then have a higher ride height and also a lot of tension so that your springs don't want you can't drop out too far. So something to think about. Really easy mod, and freaking works awesome, dude. All right, so both trucks are now running the spring mod. Maximus is just barely. I have pulled 2 coils in the front and 2 coils in the back, and he's sitting pretty good. You can see there's the dropout. There's the full. We're sitting probably about 60% sag in the suspension. We could pull that down lower, but we're gonna have bumper issues. So we may have to flip the bumper. We're going to look at that. All right, so both Maximus and Crevice are running the spring mod. Maximus has, it looks like 3 coils pulled over the collar with the collar up high. Sitting pretty low. We're sitting pretty deep in our suspension. We could actually get that to come down and actually hold down tight if we wanted to. We're doing pretty good. Sitting fairly high still in the back. We don't have a battery, so it would sit a little bit lower. And also with the overdrive, when we're driving, it helps to suck us down anyway, so we're gonna be riding a little bit lower. But when we go to be on an incline, the tires are going to pop out. So that is what the spring mod is for, is when your suspension is wanting to drop out on the incline, that you can begin to put tension on that and begin to suck it back up to bring your front down, so that it will limit your car popping off of the hill and keep you sucked down better, climbing much better. So the more up tension you have on your shock, it will limit your your flex as well as your down travel, but it will also let it that when it needs to, or when it's being pushed, that it will have some more to go. You may limit and not use the full 43 millimeters of your shock. This is set up a little bit differently. We have our springs like almost flat. So out of these springs, we have just a ton of travel out of these shocks. These, by the way, are the Hobby Plus shocks for the Scr24 and Scr18. They are very good. They're longer, I would guess, 38 to 40 millimeters. So they're longer than the stock shock, but they also don't collapse down as much because they're just a bigger shock. So it is pretty cool, but there's other options out there for probably the same amount or less money that do just the same job. So, but they do the job. They're good. I just had them from my Cr18 and I robbed them. So anyways, that's going to do it, folks. This is Josh with Texoma RC. That was the spring mod and a little bit of shock attention. How you keep them working. I sure do appreciate y'all. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hope you have a great day. Peace.